I'd like to find out.
I couldn't find the thing.
Just like always, we are not ready.
I said, oh no, the mics are on.
Yeah. So for the two lucky people that are on here live, yay, it is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
We're trying to guess who we think is on. So Brian, you got to witness. We're here. Jamie and her usual not being able to remember. Hey, no need to say it out loud.
This is why it's good that I'm not on camera for other people's things.
That's true.
I mutter to myself, but I don't have a mic on.
Well, I'm glad Facebook sends you notifications, Brian, because if it wasn't for you paying attention to those, then we would have nobody watching.
Oh,
We just lost our
sad.
We just lost our second viewer.
Oh,
That's okay.
They're tired.
They will. They will return. Anyways, welcome. Happy Tuesday. It is Pop Live today. I don't know if you heard Jamie ask this on the hot mic. But she said, "What are we talking about today?" And that is a great question. Well, before we get into it, I'm going to share with you what brought upon this idea to talk about this, and that is we had two separate people talk to us about virtual events for fundraisers. One was was somebody who was like just curious, like, well, how does it all work? Like, they're interested in doing a virtual fundraiser, and they're just like, can you do like a presentation and explain to us what goes into it and how you can make it a fundraiser and all that kind of stuff, which I know we talked a little bit about that in previous episodes, but I think the last time we talked about that was in February.
No, that was the last time we talked about live versus pre-recorded.
Oh, okay. Well, since February when we last talked about that, we've done 14 virtual events, live stream virtual events. So we have a few more things to say now, I think, based on that. And the other person that I talked to last week was a potential new client, a pretty big organization that was looking for a video production company to help them with their virtual fundraiser. And they were asking us about, what it would cost to, and can we do one where it's like all pre-recorded and stuff like that. And I just asked them, I was like, yeah, we could do that, but is there a reason why you want to do pre-recorded for your virtual fundraiser versus doing it live stream, which, we always feel is more interactive and engaging and stuff, right? And they're like, oh, because we were told from other companies, like, you can't do it live streamed, or you shouldn't because there's all these problems and internet connection and stuff like that, and you always want to go pre-recorded. And that was really sad for me to hear. I mean, I'm glad they were told that, because then we can provide them with an alternative, but I'm really bummed to hear that. And I think that's kind of like normal for people who are unfamiliar with live streaming virtual events. Like, they just are told or assume that doing it live is not doable or too difficult, and it's a bad idea. But honestly, we think for fundraisers, like, you want it to be live, right? Like, why do you always feel so strongly about doing it live versus pre-recorded? I know we talked about this before, but just for those who haven't heard this.
I just have to say this. I'm so distracted because you have one white hair
Oh my God.
in your sideburn, and it's reflecting off the light, and every time I look at you, that's all I can see, and now that's the only thing I have to say. Wait, what was the question?
Unbelievable.
Why
This
lie?
is ridiculous. Brian, I hope you're watching this.
Ah,
I was simply asking,
why live?
when we say that doing
more
a virtual
fun.
event, why should we do it live versus pre-recorded? Because everybody keeps thinking that you shouldn't do
It's
it live.
more fun. It's more fun.
Why? Like,
And I think even like, because we've done lives now. Can you see it? It's like,
probably too small.
you got to put your face like way up there.
This is for you, Brian. I'm going to put my face way up here. I don't even know.
Can you see it? I can't tell. Well, I think you might have been able to. It's right here.
This is why we lose viewers
I know. I'm sorry.
almost instantaneously.
I'm sorry. So we've done like totally pre-recorded, and we've done live with a lot of interaction, and we've done live with audiences that do not interact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even those, it's just more energy and fun, and I think the MCs, knowing that it's live, it's more fun. Like there's a better energy to it than pre-recorded.
And even for the viewer experience, I mean, we've talked about this before, that for a viewer, knowing that it's live, not that Brian would want to.
Saw it.
I was going to say, not that you would want anything to go wrong, but Brian might
Would
want
want-
something to go wrong. But there's that element of anything can happen. It's live and you don't want to miss out. And so just like when you have a choice of watching,
But then I don't think, well, I guess for some, like if you're sending out a link, then they know that this is a pre-recorded video. But then for the ones that do, like, they stream a pre-recorded thing as if it's live.
which you're not supposed to do.
You're not supposed to do.
According to, like, I think Facebook, right? Like that's a no-no. But even if you do that, you can sense,
Yeah,
like,
you
know
feel
it's
it.
not live because it's so, I don't know, there's no interaction. There's no, like,
It's just perfect.
yeah, it's too perfect.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like how when we shoot our videos where we do interviews, when someone has a pre-memorized script in their head versus just answering naturally live, like
Yeah.
you can tell the difference, the tone of voice, what words they even use. Like, I wouldn't ever use these words, but because I wrote it, I sound like a well-learned book reader. That's not even the right word. Anyways, but even when you're live, you can actually engage with the audience live because you're getting the feedback, even if it's just people saying hi, in the chat or something. Like there's something, like when I watch, and I'm the type that I've been on television, I've been in front of the camera. Like, it's not that I'm like hungering to be recognized, but sure enough, when I'm live and I just say, like, and I make a comment, and then the person on camera goes, "Hey, Nolan's here. Hey, Nolan." Like, I'm like, "Ooh, they said hi to me." Like Billy V did that one time on his live stream. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's Nolan. Ah, how you doing?"
But
I was
anything
like,
Billy V did would make you excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even so, just the acknowledgement that you're there, like that's also what you
Yeah.
are missing out when you're not doing in-person events, right? Like when you're in person, you make eye contact. You as an audience member feel like I am of importance, of being recognized in some fashion. And when you're not doing it live and it's pre-recorded, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if I'm watching. Like, they don't even know if I'm here or not. So.
And the music thing, what when we're talking about having a pre-recorded music performance as part of your thing,
Oh yeah.
like in all of the events I've watched, when they have like the recorded music thing, I'm usually like, I'll go pee now, but.
Or do something else. You don't have to only
go
pee.
get water.
Yeah.
But we
Either in or out. There's only those two things. Some kind of fluid will be moved
Oh my
from this
God.
body
Oh my
or
God.
into this body.
So when we had
Now I'm
John
thirsty.
Yamasato on for Home Project, and he went there and he was playing it live, even though like the production is not good, like you don't have the camera moving around and like all
The beautiful
multiple
shots,
angles
yeah.
and stuff. It's not pretty. It's just the one camera on him. But I really enjoyed it because it was like being at a live performance, and he's like playing, and nobody was talking to him, but he was like talking as if he was interacting with people, like if he was on stage.
Yeah, and he knew people were watching because
He knew people were watching.
we were before he came on stage, like I was emceeing it and stuff, and I was acknowledging people in the chat, and there was an ongoing auction and stuff, and people making donations, so he could sense and tell like, oh, there's people watching, and they're recognizing this donor and stuff like that. So when he's talking, even though he couldn't see them, he knew there were people there.
Yeah,
he felt like, yeah, I'm part of this,
it
awesome
was so
thing.
good. I thought that was like the best musical performance that I've seen.
Yeah, and it was just him,
event.
an acoustic guitar,
Yeah.
one microphone, one camera.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yay, John.
And see,
thanks for doing that.
And Brian said that live is way better for engagement. Personally, he would not watch a pre-recorded fundraiser. And live also has opportunities to connect with other participants. It's definitely far more scary, and some pre-recorded parts would be great, but live is just much, much more human, which, correct. Amen. Preaching to the choir there. But yeah, just because it's live doesn't mean that you are not able to have some pre-recorded elements. Like, we're just saying that the event itself, just like an in-person event, you can play pre-recorded videos as part of the program, but like having engagement with the audience as far as those who are participating in fundraiser elements like a live auction or in the chat rooms and things like that. It's so awesome. Like and for an event where you're either trying to get people to donate or appreciate and recognize people who have donated, like having that personal feel and energy is exactly what you need. Like, nothing feels worse than is like, oh, we just pre-prepared this statement for all of you very valuable people. It's like, that's kind of like when people like do a apology in the media, like when they write it and they just read it. Oh, it feels so insincere. As much as the words are correct and stuff, it's like, I don't feel it. But if they're just like talking to you, like there's just something different about that. And that's kind of the same kind of, if I could describe the feeling and the differences between a pre-recorded and a live, it's something like that. So with that being said, I think we've established our argument for why you should do it live. Here's why it can be done live. And so I'm only going off of what I assume are the reasons why other companies are discouraging people from doing live stream. And it's because they're not built and equipped to handle live streaming. For us, we really invested a lot of time in doing research, in getting the correct type of equipment and money. And we live stream regardless if we have a project or not. We're live streaming at least once a week with this show. Like, so we're constantly, doing it. So it's like muscle memory for us now. Whereas for people,
knock on wood, don't say it like that.
I say that, and then like every single
God.
week she's like, oh my God, the camera's not on. Oh, the microphone's on. Oh, what do I do? What do I push? Which is why Brian loves it, which again, this is why live, even as imperfect as it is more fun than if it was like a pre-recorded video that was perfect, right? Can you imagine her edited? It'd be so boring.
Pre-recorded video.
She just like,
I wouldn't even be here.
See, so we wouldn't even have Jamie if we did it pre-recorded. You look like you were thinking of something to say.
No, I didn't think. I was like, you're drinking your water, and then nobody's talking, and I'm not talking. So
why wouldn't you just take that as a cue? You just
I have
like,
nothing to say.
That's not true. She always has something to say. And usually, if I don't allow her time to say it, I am let known that I haven't given her time to say anything. Anyways, so I can only assume that other production companies, like, they're used to and equipped for pre-recorded productions. And so as a production company, yes, pre-recording is always easier, because you can always redo things when they go wrong. It's not just one take and that's it. But just because it's easier doesn't mean it's better. So as we explained,
It is super different.
yeah,
It's a totally different. Like we had to get all new. We had to get new cameras, new
new
mics.
software, new computers.
Yeah, everything is different. So you can't just have a regular video production company and expect them to be able to do a live stream because
Yeah.
it's super different.
And they, and one of the things that the potential client that we talked to had said that they were told was like, you can't do live streaming because internet is caused such a problem and stuff. And I had heard from other clients who had had experience with other production companies before live streaming was even a thing, that they were live streaming like in-person events in conjunction with, capturing footage and stuff. And they were saying, oh, the live streaming experience was awful because, things were cutting in and out, and the sound was bad. Like all these different things pertaining to internet connection. And that's where our training and expertise come in, and experience in knowing what to look for to ensure that the proper internet speed and connection is being used. And not to say that that's you're not going to have technical issues with live streams. You potentially will, and most likely will. Like, I think almost every single live stream event we've done, there's been some kind of technical issue, but nothing that we haven't been able to figure out and overcome. And I think, knock on wood, like every live stream event, no matter what happened, everyone was like super happy with it, and it worked out great. So it's not, the technical issues should not be a reason why you feel like you cannot do.
So internet speed is something you can look into and figure out and get on not a Wi-Fi connection, but a hardwire and a fast enough connection, because there are places that you're going to be that live streaming is not going to be advisable or even possible. But as long as
find
you
that out
find that stuff out before, then internet connection shouldn't be the reason why you don't do it.
Yeah. And as far as we do a lot of, and again, this isn't fail proof, but we do a lot of tech checks and technical checks and balances leading up to the event to make sure that everything runs smoothly. I think many people just possibly in their other experiences have just been like, well, just plug it in. And
I think people see how Zoom goes and then they're like, oh, we don't want that because that'll be a bad look for our organization.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. For most people, their only experience with live streaming is Zoom, which we've all experienced many issues with that. And a lot of it is user error. But that's why when we do a production, we work specifically with all of those who are part of the program that would require technical assistance. We do that all prior to the event because we don't want to have those kind of issues that you see in a typical Zoom production.
Like you're on mute or... Yeah. What do you think are the reasons why people think it's not possible other than internet speed?
I think they also think like the picture quality is poor and stuff like that because we have specific equipment to enable us to use high quality cameras like this. so that the image, as you see, looks really crisp and clean.
And this camera is good for streaming.
And if you use just regular cameras without the stuff that we have, it's still gonna come out all pixelated or low quality and stuff like that. And and I think people just assume that it's just not gonna look as good. And I think there's a sense of thinking like, oh, because you can highly edit something, like you can make it really beautiful with like different angles and multiple takes and all that stuff. But again, as we mentioned, like having it look beautiful doesn't make it engaging or interesting or fun. So that's the only thing I can think of as to the other things, reasons why they wouldn't think it's possible. That and other production companies telling them it's not possible when it is. There's just a lot of stuff out there because live streaming is becoming such a huge thing now worldwide. It's constantly getting better. So yeah, maybe 2 years ago, live streaming an event was not, there's a lot of problems with that, and there wasn't a whole lot of support and information. But I think now, if you look at today, and partly because the pandemic kind of hyper speed increased the need for it, like live streaming is just, we basically can run like a live television show from our homes now. Like we can do a lot of what the TV networks do, which is also another great point. Like the news is live. Anybody watch like pre-recorded news? No, right? I don't think there's such a thing. Anything else? Do you have any questions?
I think I would be curious why people are so hesitant about it. Like I don't know if we're addressing the fears that somebody would have.
My only guess is, so there's the two, right? There's the client and the production company. So if we're asking why the client is so fearful of going live, then I would think it's because they worry it's all on them. Like they don't have control. They don't have the experience. They don't have the knowledge of knowing that it'll be fine. It'll go okay. And they also haven't seen live streams that went well because maybe they weren't produced by, like the only ones they've attended is like Zoom ones or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so they go, oh, I don't want that. Because as many live streams as we've done, I'm sure that the majority of the island have not watched them. Like they're a very, specific targeted audiences, right? And as much as I think, wow, we're so busy, we've done so many, and for so many different varieties of organizations, every time we've talked to a new potential client that hadn't seen us or reached out to us because they've seen our work, they're always really pleasantly surprised when I send them a sample of like, oh, here's a live stream event that we did to give you an idea of what you can do. And they go, oh, I had no idea. This looks amazing. Like, and it's like, oh, you hadn't seen any stuff like this before? And then I remember, oh yeah, because the whole island hasn't seen our stuff. So
just like a lack of control.
Yeah, I mean, I think they also are my guess too is that they're used to working with production companies that maybe are in need of they're just the order takers. So they're used to always being told like, here's what we want filmed, here's where like they got to do all the work, and then the production company just comes, does the work, and then goes back and edits it. So they're used to having to be in charge of every part of the creative process, which they have that experience of doing pre-recorded. But when it comes to live stream, like I have no idea how to prepare or run that right. And then So of course they don't know that they'll be assisted by someone like us, where we'll take care of all those things. And Brian says, yeah, he says, I think a lack of control is a big fear too. So with pre-recorded, you can control, you can watch it and say, this looks terrible. Let's redo some stuff. And it's not matching what I want. With live stream, it's like you get mock-ups of the designs, you get to see the rundown of the show, but until you actually are in it, you don't really know if it's exactly what you're expecting. So that's also probably another thing too. And I think because we are blessed with the experiences of doing it so much, it's like, oh yeah, of course, everything's fine. But for someone who's never done it, it's like, scary. I don't even know what to expect. And we've had that even with Brian in particular, like we're just like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine. And he's like, can I get some kind of understanding of what's happening? And it was actually because of our experience with you, Brian, that we realized we needed to do a lot more as far as the prep work of preparing the clients and their expectations. So sorry we did that Brian. To you, but thanks for helping us get better.
Oh.
Whoa, creepy.
What was that?
That was the door.
Why?
It either closed or opened.
Oh, maybe I didn't shut it good.
Yes, Brian, you were useful. You're very useful. But yeah, does that make sense?
It makes sense. I don't know if anybody would be convinced by listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the only thing is that I can think of would be showing them examples of what we've done so that they can see, what kind of things can happen. And then also explaining the process, like some of the things that we built out of our experience with Brian is showing the organization and what to expect and timelines and all that stuff so that they have as much information as possible. And gotta take our word for it, but our clients always at the end go like, that was great. I worried for nothing or stuff like that.
Maybe it's just weighing the risk versus the reward and knowing that the risk isn't as big as you think it is because you've never done it before. Yeah. But if you're working with somebody that does it, then it's not as big of a risk as you imagine.
Yeah, and the reward, I think, is much bigger than what you think too.
Yeah.
Because I think not only for just the live stream of the event itself, because we have to expect that a huge chunk of your audience, regardless if you stream it live or pre-record it, is not going to watch it the moment it debuts. They are going to watch it a day later. They're going to watch it on demand. And going back to that, the energy of it and the feel of it, even as an on-demand show or program, if you feel that energy still and it's fun, like you'll sit through and watch the whole thing. Versus if it's pre-recorded and you don't have that kind of feeling and energy, you probably see a lot of people just like not watching the whole thing through. And so there's still value in live streaming something, even if it's for the audience that is not going to be attending live. So Brian says, I think there are plenty of reasons. And if you had 5 potential clients, they may have 5 different things that scare them most. There's just so much at risk, I think, for some when it comes to fundraisers. So very true. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think then for what you should do if you're an organization out there looking to plan a fundraiser and doing it virtually, to talk about, to seek out, the professionals that are going to be producing your event and talking about the risks and the concerns that you have specifically. And depending on, what the company that you're working with, what their abilities and capabilities are,
Mhm.
then you'll come up with the right decision. But
And there's a lot of ways to mitigate the risk. Like if you like like if you're working with somebody who has bad internet because they're in the middle of a forest, maybe that person should pre-record. But other people who have good internet can come on live, and there's a lot of things that the group might not realize that could make their event more risky or less risky.
yeah, and I think too, what a lot of organizations um, make the mistake of is predetermining what they're going to do before they even talk to their
Yeah.
organizers or their production company or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just come up and go, hey, we want to do this. And most people would just be like, yes or no. Whereas I think for us, like what we like to do is, well, first, before we even decide this is what we're going to do, like, who's your audience? What is it that you're trying to accomplish and all that stuff? And then trying to see if these ideas match that goal and that they actually will achieve that. So go in with an open mind, I would say. Brian says that he wants to be in the middle of a forest. Sometimes when I talk to you, Brian, I feel like your brain and your mind is in the middle of a forest.
Oh
That's
my
not
goodness.
true. I just wanted to give Brian a little something to go, like, oh, he's, no, never mind. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, again, to recap, just open up communications. Don't feel like if you think there's no other options but pre-recorded for your fundraisers going virtual, just open your mind, start conversations, reach out to others. If you want, you can reach out to us, but just don't think that you're pigeonholed to just one thing.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to. And and Brian, thank you so much for constantly giving us joy during our live streams, giving us great feedback and perspective, but also so much fun and great energy. I think Jamie wouldn't do this if it wasn't for you. She'd be like, oh, why am I here? But she comes because she's like, I want to see what Brian has to say. But okay, so as always, if anyone has any questions, feel free to leave the questions in the comments, or you can email us at info@popcm.me. Also, if you have any future topics or show ideas that you would like for us to talk about, or for us to bring on experts to talk about, please email us and let us know. And we'll be back probably next week. Yeah, next
I'm
week is
not
okay.
sure. Hanukon though.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how I'm doing. If I'm losing my mind, then we won't.
So what Jamie's talking about is the annual HanoCon. It's a conference for nonprofit organizations put on by Hano. Is happening next week. It's a 2-day, all-day conference, Thursday and Friday.
It came up so fast. Oh my god.
And so we'll be producing that. I'll be hosting it, or emceeing it rather. So we'll be pretty busy. But if you are a nonprofit organization, or are looking to get into nonprofit work, this is probably the best thing you can go to. Well, not the best. One of the best things you can go to all year. So go to Hano's website for more information about it. It's HANO, stands for Hawaii Alliance of Nonprofit Organizations. But they've got amazing speakers and panels and just a lot of great resources for nonprofits and all of the subjects that, will help you continue to grow and survive during these crazy times. But also it's a great networking opportunity for nonprofits to work together and create partnerships and just make this whole place a better place. So I think that's even where we met Brian.
Last
right?
year, that's right. Brian was sharing pictures of Ruby on the chat, and that's how I knew who he was.
Yeah. So see,
was it you? I think Brian had a picture of your dog, and then it said like the caption was like, "My dog has a pet bird" or something. Was that Brian?
What?
I don't remember. It was my favorite picture.
Oh, there, Brian. Thank you. Brian put in the chat a link to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Brian was one of the ones trying to get up the
top
leaderboard,
two.
but then could not overcome.
Oh, pet cat. She had a pet cat.
That
was the cutest picture.
Brian's picture apparently was not as cute, but still cute.
What? That was his picture of his dog.
Oh, his dog had a pet cat.
Yeah.
I thought she meant some lady had a pet cat that had a pet bird. Gotcha. Okay, so it was your favorite. Good. Thank goodness. That would have been awkward. Anyways, so we'll be doing that. But I think next week, there's a chance that we'll be doing Pop Live. Usually we do it Tuesdays at 12:30 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And it's always live, as you can tell. And even when we close out here, you will know it's live because Jamie will inevitably freak out about forgetting to push something.
The button works now.
We'll see. Famous last words. All right. Bye.
Bye, Ryan. Oh.